The first time you badge through Vauxhall Cross, the Thames looks like dull steel. The lobby smells of wet coats and printer toner. Your phone is bagged. Your name becomes a number on a lanyard. Someone tells you, quietly, assume you're being watched. This is your life, level by level, inside MI6. Trainee Officer. The start of a journey in the world of foreign intelligence. You spend your mornings in a windowless classroom behind thick doors, learning tradecraft like it's a second language. You practice writing cables in clipped, impersonal English. You rehearse legends' date of birth, employer, dead aunt's maiden name until you can say them half asleep. In the afternoon, it's role plays. You as case officer, then targeter, then verification officer, swapping chairs, swapping states. The coffee tastes burnt. The whiteboards never fully erase. You get procedures drilled into muscle memory. How to log contact, how to store notes, how to spot a tail at a roundabout, how to pass a package without looking like you're passing a package. You sign forms about the Official Secrets Act. You hand over devices. You learn to keep your face still. You tell yourself it's just training. You tell yourself the scripts aren't real people. You tell yourself the adrenaline is a good sign. Then the instructor slides a file across the table with a real passport photo and says, "Prove it." Your innocence doesn't break, it gets filed, stamped, and shelved. Intelligence Officer. The point where theory meets practice. Your first overseas posting starts with a quiet flight and a loud silence. At the station you're given keys, a cover job title, and a local SIM you're told never to mix with your real life. Days become meetings in hotel lobbies that smell like lemon cleaner, walks timed to prayer calls or rush hour traffic, and short reports typed late at night with the curtains drawn. You run sources the way you were taught, slow, patient, documented. A banker with access to sanctions busting transfers. A junior official who photocopies schedules in a back office. You check motivations, money, ego, revenge, then you test, verify, and compartmentalize. You keep cash in crisp notes, a burner phone in a tin, and an emergency phrase memorized for when the line goes bad. You tell yourself you're protecting people. You tell yourself you can read anyone in 10 minutes. You tell yourself control is the same thing as safety. But the first time a contact arrives 10 minutes late and sweating, you realize the street has its own rules and it doesn't care about your training binders. Senior Intelligence Officer. Where responsibility takes a front seat. Your desk gets bigger, but the air feels tighter. You're the one who takes the 2 o'clock call when a source is arrested, when an embassy vehicle is followed, when a safe flat goes dark. You sit in briefing rooms with map overlays and incident timelines, chairing quick meetings that end with a single sentence. Do it or don't. Your titles sound administrative head of emergencies, court security, but your calendar is triage. You allocate surveillance teams, approve emergency exfil routes, and decide which operations pause so another can survive. You review security for a royal visit down to the vehicle order, the comms checks, the sterile routes, the medical standby. You sign off on risk registers with numbers that pretend fear can be measured. You tell yourself distance makes you effective. You tell yourself delegation isn't abandonment. You tell yourself you can carry it because you're senior now. Then you watch a junior officer's hands shake over a briefing paper and you realize your comm is just a lid tightened over boiling water. You've learned the craft, then you've used it, then you've started giving orders. Next, you step into rooms where a single decision rewrites everyone else's day and their cover. Level 4 Department Head. You run a whole portfolio of operations, budgets, and people. Your signature becomes the gate. The meeting room is glass-walled and always too bright. You sit beneath a screen showing a map, a risk heat chart, and a red list of overdue returns. Your day is back-to-back. Staffing panels, legal briefings, welfare updates, liaison calls with Five Eyes partners, then a quick walk to the secure comms room to read what can't be printed. Your tea goes cold. Your inbox doesn't. You approve operations that used to feel distant. A recruitment pitch to an engineer with missile telemetry. A technical install that needs an embassy distraction. A covert payment route that has to survive a sudden sanctions regime. You argue for resources: 2 Arabic linguists, 1 surveillance team, a new safe flat lease like you're buying minutes of breathing space. You tell yourself the paperwork is protection. You tell yourself the committees are control. You tell yourself no one is alone because you've built process. Then a case officer asks, quietly, if this goes wrong, who owns it? And the answer sits on your pen tip. Your authority is a door that only swings one way. Level 5 Assistant Chief of Secret Service. You oversee multiple departments and shape the service's operational posture. Policy becomes a weapon. You stop counting days by meetings and start counting them by crises. The morning brief lands in a red folder. Hostile state activity, cyber intrusions, an arrest abroad, a source who wants out. You move through Vauxhall Cross with people stepping aside without meaning to. In the secure suite, the air hums with printers and low voices. You live on black coffee and clipped sentences. Your job is alignment. You chair the board that decides what MI6 can attempt this quarter, and what has to be left to MI5, GCHQ, or a liaison service with its own agenda. You push for a risky approach on a proliferation network. You kill a long-running operation because the counterintelligence picture shifted. You negotiate with legal, with ministers' private offices, with partners who demand access before they share. You tell yourself strategy is just distance. You tell yourself trade-offs are neutral. You tell yourself you're saving lives by saying no. But every time you remove a name from an operation, you picture a face you've never met, and you realize you're playing chess with pieces that bleed. At this height, you don't pull triggers, you decide who gets a gun. Level 6 Chief of the Secret Intelligence Service. You are the head of MI6, publicly invisible, privately accountable for the nation's secrets. You arrive before dawn because your schedule is already behind. The Thames is still there, flat and indifferent, as you pass the same security checks you once found intimidating. Upstairs, the office is spare. Secure phone, locked cabinets, a battered notebook, a view you rarely look at. Your staff brings a line of decisions in neat fonts, briefs for COBR, appointments, covert action proposals, liaison disputes that can sour entire regions. You speak to the foreign secretary in rooms that smell like polished wood. You sit with the cabinet office and translate raw reporting into something a minister can act on. You sign warrants with ink that feels heavier than it should. You decide which service gets priority. Counterterrorism, state threats, hostage recovery, weapons programs, each one insisting it's the fire. You tell yourself you can carry the secrecy because you chose it. You tell yourself the title is just stewardship. You tell yourself you're still the same officer who learned to keep a face still. Then you step to a window, watch the city move, and feel how lonely a secret becomes when it has nowhere else to go. The higher you climb, the less air there is to admit you're human. Ranks give you new access, new language, new locks to turn. They don't remove the old sensations. The bagged phone, the rehearsed legend, the pause before you answer. You learn to live inside questions that never get asked aloud, because asking is already a kind of disclosure. In the end, the building holds your footsteps for a while, then it only keeps what you signed.